Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So I wanted to talk about this interview that I saw with David Benavidez on Fight Hype. He talked about, Canelo saying that he didn't want to fight any Mexicans. And, David Benavidez pretty much dispelled that. He pretty much shot that shit down. He said, man, look, I'm not 100% Mexican, and I'm not from Mexico. I'm from America. You know what I'm saying? I'm half Ecuadorian, half Mexican, and I was born in the USA. So he said, Canelo saying that he wouldn't fight any Mexicans, that wasn't meant for him because, he's talking about his countrymen, guys that are actually from the country of Mexico. You dig what I'm saying? So, he pretty much shot that down and said, man, look, I want that fight. And I've done all of the work to put myself in position to have a shot at the champion of the division, which is currently the undisputed champion, Canelo Alvarez. Now, Canelo just fought Triple G last night, and I would say it was unimpressive, not just from Canelo, but especially from Triple G. It was very unimpressive. I think 70 to 90% of people, fans of boxing, could have done without that third fight. I don't think any of us really wanted to see a third Canelo and Triple G fight, but they had the fight. It was lackluster. The undercards were a lot better than the main event. However, Canelo just had his fight, defended all his titles, and David Benavidez, he just saying, man, hey, look, I deserve that fight. And David Benavidez didn't just call out Canelo. He went on a rant and talked about how other guys have been ducking him. He said Morrell could have been had to fight. Jamal Charlo could have been had to fight. Caleb Plant could have been had to fight. You dig what I'm saying? So I really like David Benavidez's energy, with him really pushing towards wanting to be the best, wanting to prove himself. He got that Devin Haney energy. David Benavidez is walking around here with that Devin Haney energy, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? He's willing and ready to prove himself. He wants to be in a challenge. He said, man, I've been pro for 10 years. I've been in this, and mind you, he's extremely young. I think he's under 25, under 20. He's very young. I think he's like 24, 25. And, this guy said, man, I've been pro for 10 years. I've been in this shit for 10 years, and I still ain't got no big fight. I've been champion twice. Now, granted, he lost that title both times to his own, his own self-inflicted actions by, failing a drug test and then losing the title on the scale. So that's on him. And if he had that title and Canelo actually wanted to be undisputed despite who the opponents were, then he would have had his opportunity at that point. So that's on him. However, I feel what he's saying, man. Look, I've been champion twice. I'm currently, I done won a title eliminator since then. I currently hold a subsidiary WBC belt. So he's in position. He's at the top of all the rankings, to be in line for that undisputed shot, or at least to be in the ring with the other top guys in and around that division, like a Jamal Charlo, like a Caleb Plant. The Caleb Plant fight should have been happened. Like a David Morrell, who a lot of people, who's very young, but a lot of people are touting as a future star in the sport, and so I feel where David Benavidez is coming from, man. This dude, he want to fight. He want to fight. He want to prove himself. And I think boxing needs more fighters like this. Boxing needs more guys that are willing to fight the best, that have that hunger to prove that they the best. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really hoping that one of these guys step up in fighting so that we can see him in that position. David Benavidez says that I want to be in a 50-50 fight where it's hard for me. He said, I want to be in a situation where I'm pushed, where I have to pull something extraordinary out of me in order to overcome that. He wants to be challenged. He said, man, I've been sparring world champions my whole life since I've been in this boxing shit. You know, so I'm ready for this. You feel me? So I don't know if it's going to be a situation where David Benavidez has to move up to 175 just to get some competition. I don't think that should be the case. I mean, he is a really big guy for that division, 168. You know, but I think, man, he shouldn't have to move. When you got guys in your division, you shouldn't have to move up to go get some competition. Now, I will say this. There was some news about Demetrius Andrade and PBC wanting to, not PBC, but Demetrius Andrade and DAZN wanted to make a fight with PBC and David Benavidez. You know, and from what I heard, you know, David Benavidez and his team, they weren't interested. Now, when you got this type of energy, you gotta take on all comers. I don't know how true that is as far as Demetrius Andrade and his team offering them an opportunity to fight. But I believe that David Benavidez, his father, his team, they did not want anything to do with Demetrius Andrade. The same shit. Canelo didn't want nothing to do with Demetrius Andrade. Jamal Charlo don't want nothing to do with Demetrius Andrade. You dig what I'm saying? So, but when you in this position like a Devin Haney, you know, when Devin Haney was starving and couldn't get an opportunity, man, Devin Haney, he would have took on anybody. You know, he couldn't get Teofimo Lopez. He couldn't get Lomachenko. You feel me? He started going after Teofimo Lopez. He couldn't get Teofimo Lopez. He started going after. He been going after Ryan Garcia. Still couldn't get him. You feel what I'm saying? You know, he couldn't get Ryan Garcia. He started going after Jojo Diaz. Finally got Jojo Diaz in the ring. Beat him. You feel me? And then backdoored and went out to Canelo'S. And Canelo'S almost slithered through and escaped. But he finally got him in the ring, and now he's the undisputed champion. So he took on all comers in order to put himself in this position. So David Benavidez, you got to have that energy to make an example out of a motherfucker. So if Demetrius Andrade didn't want to fight, you got to get him in the ring and make an example out of him. Take on all comers. You got to take on all comers, you know, but I feel where David Benavidez is coming from. He wants the big fights. He wants the top guys, and I understand and I like that energy, and I think more fighters should be like that, you know, but you got to take on all comers, you know. Go seek that Demetrius Andrade fight if you can. You know what I'm saying? If you really want all the smoke, you know, fight Demetrius Andrade. You know what I'm saying? And then hopefully one of these other guys will come around, man. So I really wanted to speak on the fact that, you know, Canelo's been running around here saying, man, look, I'm not fighting no more Mexicans. You know, but David Benavidez said, hey, man, I'm not Mexican. I'm American. So that ain't meant for me. What's good? We can get in the ring. What's up? So Canelo really don't have no other excuse to duck and dodge David Benavidez. He don't have no other excuse. That was the only thing that he had to lean on. He don't have no, you know, he still have an excuse to stay away from Zurdo Ramirez, which, and let's be real, I give Canelo the edge in these fights, you know, but I would still like to see these fights. I think they're, you know, there'll be some fan-friendly fights. There'll be some fights that would be really entertaining. And, you know, maybe these fights will turn out to be very competitive because he couldn't stop Triple G. Now, keep in mind, you know, Triple G never been stopped before. But Triple G was old, man. He was visibly old. He wasn't putting no power on his punches. He was very reluctant to throw shots. Now, again, you see how hard it is to stop a guy who is in that bitch to survive. Triple G was in there to survive. Triple G wasn't in there to win that fight. He was just in there just not to get knocked out. He came for the check. He knew he was old. He knew he didn't have it in him to go for the gusto, but he was in the ring to survive. So when you fight a world-class guy that's in the ring just to survive, it's hard to get that motherfucker up out of there, I'm telling you, especially when they got a good chin, too. It's hard to get him up out of there. They going to do everything they can to survive, to make it out. They going to hold you. They know how to survive. The motherfucker got a chin. He world-class. He used to knocking motherfuckers out. You know what I'm saying? So at the very least, you know, he know how to survive. So, but I felt like that fight was I thought Canelo should have pressed on the gas a little bit more, and that kind of showed me some. I don't know if he had a little bit too much respect for Triple G, but I don't know. David Benavidez might be able to give him a little bit of work. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about David Benavidez dispelling this excuse that Canelo has been using over the past couple of years, is that, you know, I'm not going to fight no Mexicans, to keep himself out of the ring with a guy like a David Benavidez. And how do you feel about that fight? Do you think it's a good fight? Do you think it's competitive? Do you think David Benavidez has a chance? Do you think David Benavidez wins? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing. I'll holla at y'all boys, man.